All righty, awesome. All right, so can you see my screen there?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, welcome everyone. I know everyone has like really busy schedules, so I'm glad you guys could make it. We've got some awesome content planned, so I do want to jump in, but before I start talking about any of the stuff that we have planned for today, I want to thank all of you guys for putting your faith in Q. I know we were a completely brand new name when we had our first call introducing all this stuff to you guys back in March. We had some people trying out Q just to help us learn even before that last summer. But the support and testimonials we've received from you guys has vastly surpassed even my most optimistic expectations for what this summer would look like. So even though this summer I was the most removed from my vector office that I've been since I started, I think more than any summer, this one's helped me appreciate the vector community in a completely new way. One thing I know is that we're tough innovators who always find ways to win, and we're willing to do things other people aren't to grow and succeed. So it's honestly been a real inspiration to the Q team throughout our entire development process. So I just wanted to get that off the table and say thank you to you guys. But that said, let's jump right in. So what are we doing today? We'll introduce a ton of new features that we've built in the past few weeks, including our new Silver Cup edition. And we want people to A, know what those features are, and B, know how to use those features. And the reason we decided to have an entire call about this is because it turns out that making sure people know the best way to use Q is really important for having people successfully adopt it in their office and getting the most from it. So the best example of this is, one example of this is if you introduce Q in day one of training versus a later day or advanced training, you get way higher usage of it by your reps. My favorite example of this is for reps, which is why we originally designed the app. We know that for reps who use Qs to its full potential, they can double their call rate, right, from 15 calls per hour to 30 calls per hour. But as a rep, what actually speeds up your phoning is reducing the time you waste in between phone calls, which is mostly deciding who you want to call next, especially for apprehensive people. So it doesn't speed you up all that much if you just queue 1, 2, or 3 people at a time. In fact, people who don't queue up 30 plus leads before phoning only make 5 more calls per hour on average over pen and paper. It's if you queue up to 30 people before you call a single person that you can double to 30 calls per hour. So again, that's why the theme of today is going to have a lot to do with best practices and getting the most value. So to that end, we've enlisted some managers and some of the developers to explain our new features who we'll introduce as we go. And again, the name of the game is not just what does it do, but how do I use it? We'll start the call with some exciting updates about the state of Q. I'm really excited to share some of these numbers with you. Next, we'll have a group activity where we share some Q hacks or best practices for using Q that we've just encountered while using Q and we've been doing ourselves. For example, having reps take 5 minutes to enter their goals into Q before each team meeting phone jam so they have a target and we don't have to chase people down and enter their goals later. So you can start thinking of a Q hack that you can share in just a second, something you've noticed is helpful. Then I'll introduce the Silver Cup edition, which is really the culmination of all the work we've done in the second half of the summer, and I think will really help offices level up. It's super cheap with the annual version, but the name's appropriate. This is for people who are really serious about competing, and it will give you a leg up. So I've got Owen, Trapp, Jakub, Mysliwiec, and my co-founder, Jay Cronin, to help explain what comes with that. Then I'll talk about how to get started with Silver Cup, and we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So the Q mission since the start has been to make you and your reps more productive with relentless software innovation. Like I said, you guys are innovators and you deserve software tools that can keep up with that innovation. And we strive to be that for you. So this summer we had incredible adoption. We had over 520 offices using Q with over 50,000 sales reps registering for Q in those offices who made over 2.1 million calls. It was a lot of fun to see those numbers grow this summer and know that we were adding value to you guys. But my favorite number of all here is that we put out 63 updates to Q Q Sales Team, and QSalesTeam.com since the beginning of April. Each one with something new that we thought would be value to you guys. To put that in perspective, that's just under 3 updates per week that we were pushing out throughout the summer. So again, really trying to keep adding value to you guys and keep up with what you guys are doing out in the field. Thought it would also be fun to share some of the testimonials we've received. Truly transformed my phoning experience. This is the future. All my reps love it. Gets them competitive. My favorite one from a DVM in the Eastern region is not listed here, but basically said this summer without Q we would have been effed. So that's where Q stands. We've had a fantastic summer, and we're excited for what's next, including the Silver Cup edition. But first, I want to do a quick group activity in the spirit of sharing some best practices. So we're going to share some Q hacks here. What's one interesting way you use Q, or what's one best practice for using Q that helps you or your reps get more value out of Q or increase their productivity. So again, one example might be having reps enter their goals before the team meeting phone jam. Another example could be right before the first phone jam in training, having your reps take 5 minutes to star their top 15 people and cue those 15 people before the phone jam so they can get started phoning faster and they're more comfortable with the people they're calling. So I'm going to start a 1-minute timer. I want everyone to think of one way that they use Q, one best practice for using Q that they think might be helpful for everyone to hear about. So again, I'll give everyone a quick minute, and then we can share. All right, so I see some people sharing in the chat. That's great. We're going to do this a little bit of a round robin style. So if you have something that you can share, just type that you have something, and then I can call on you guys to share as we go. And we'll take another 10, 15 seconds. All right, awesome. So we can jump right in with this. So Michael, you wanna share yours?
Yeah, you're talking to me, right?
Yep, Mike. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just think the live phone jams is cool because if you're at a phone jam virtually, you can't obviously hover over your reps. So I can look and I'm like, Taylor hasn't made a call in like the last 20 minutes, so let me call her, check her temperature. So I think that's just pretty cool how you can kind of track the calls that they're making to make sure they're being efficient.
Awesome. Yeah, I think originally what we thought the leaderboards would be a great way to create some competition, but I think it turns out that one of the biggest value adds is figuring out, identifying people who are struggling earlier so you can go help them. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, Callie Lott, do you want to share yours?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit, but.
Sorry, yeah, do you want to just share yours?
I think I cut out a little bit. Yeah, we've been trying to utilize the time zone tags. At the beginning of the summer, we had a couple of reps who ended up calling people either way too late. There was one time that we had a rep call somebody at 4 a.m. because they were in the wrong time zone. So the time zone tags have been really great. And then we can be like, okay, cool. Well, now you can call your East Coast people at 7 a.m. or you can call, if you've got Hawaii leads, or call them a little bit later. So it's been nifty.
Awesome. Yeah, and that was kind of one of our hopes with, and thank you for sharing that. That was kind of one of our hopes with Q2 is I would help people figure out what really are the best times to call people during the day. So that was great. All right, Jacob, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, so I've started implementing, well, first I created some documents on how to kick off a virtual phone jam. And now it's pretty much a system. So like at a team meeting, at a phone jam, at Champs Club, Sunday phone jam, we're really effective and efficient because they know what's happening. I paint the picture, paint the vision, what it's going to look like. I give them 5 minutes to queue up 15 calls. I give them 35 minutes to phone. I found out like after the 35-minute mark, the phoning efficiency goes down a lot. So we have a break after the 35 minutes. But I have them queue up 15, get their scripts pulled up, get their schedules open, and it's like clockwork now. So like we're really, really efficient and really effective while we use Q with additional documents that I've made. So I'm loving it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I really want to emphasize what Jakub said about taking 5 minutes to have people queue up 15 people. The number is sort of arbitrary. I think it should be between 15 and 30, but you want to make sure you do that because, again, that's really what makes reps have the fastest turnaround with their calls, and it's going to give them the biggest phoning boost in their productivity. So that was great. All right, awesome. So who's next in the chat there? You just went away from me.
I think I'm next.
Awesome. You wanna share yours, Craig?
Yeah, sure. So for me, the thing that I've most enjoyed about Q is, especially during the summer when the teams are large and you're splitting up the teams between like your AMs and things, you can see like the PDI that they're doing already without you having to focus on doing everything yourself. And you can see any notes or anything like that, which has been pretty cool. And also just having like access to like their information. I know at least for me personally, I don't always save their number right out of training. And so having immediate access to like the numbers and being able to text them directly, I've found of huge benefit to me personally.
Got it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So we might have to cut this short a little bit. But Patrick, do you want to share?
Yeah, one big nugget that I got from Q just this summer is kind of like one and two things. One was just that you could like, it automatically divided them into groups. So I know like who is in fast start, who is in, post fast start, yada, yada, yada. But another big asset was like, I didn't realize this till late in the summer, but there's like an actual website, not just the app. And so a big thing I did was I would share my screen during advanced training, during live phone jam, so we could see how many calls someone made, how many demos XYZ booked, and that really lift the rest of the team.
All right, awesome. And then this will be the last one. We can come back to this if we have some time later. But Demian, you want to share yours? Demian Scott?
Oh, yeah. So one thing that I do during the day 2 PC, so what I do is I go through each demo that representatives have scheduled, and I like to be able to put information in that little bar that's right next to the demo where you can put information about like, oh, so this is your aunt, this is your mom, this is blank. And so that way when they call us, they might be on the demo. I don't have to ask anything. I'm like, oh, cool. So you're doing the demo with your mom right now? Or, hey, I know you're supposed to do the demo with your aunt in a few minutes. How are you excited about that one? So it kind of like lets them know that, hey, we are like actually listening to what you say without having to remember like what they told us in training of who they're showing.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So, and I saw you said you have some awesome docs.
No, Jakub has, and we were all wanting to know if we could see those.
Oh, okay, great.
You want all the awesome.
Yeah. So I'll talk about this towards the end again. But there's a shared drive where everyone can put documents they use to implement Q and to help them use Q in their offices. So if you have anything, I'll ask you again at the end of the call that you've created for running Q in your office. You can just drop it there, and I'll show how to get to that. But all right, awesome. So at this point, we're going to move on to introducing the Silver Cup edition. Does everyone see my screen there again? Awesome.
Yep.
So what is the Silver Cup edition? So it's a collection of 3 major features that we've been working on in the second half of the summer. And again, this is for people who really want to level up their office and compete to win a title. The first is in-app messaging, which you can use to send message blasts to the groups or teams that you define within your app. And you can automatically include AMs on any given conversation, so everyone stays in the loop about coaching. The second is rep demo checkouts. So you can have reps log out of their demos with the outcome, whether it was a sale, no sale, and so forth, how many recs they got, and more. So you get information about each demo as it's coming in with less PDI, and then some deep analytics. We have an awesome analytics dashboard that we put together that I think is really going to be cool for especially the member files here, to get some deeper insights about stuff that's going on in your office that you can't get from some of the other numbers. So to kick this off, I'm going to have Owen Trapp talk about our in-app messaging. So Owen Trapp is a division leader, recently promoted in the Legacy Division in New Jersey. He's been an absolute beast, one of the best true sales coaches I know in the business. I've seen plenty of reps get, transfer to his offices and become significantly better at really selling higher average orders and bigger pushes. He always has massive SE2 pushes, and he was one of our biggest rivals when I was working out of Bergen County. And he's going to introduce in-app messaging, how to use it, as well as the new division phoning dashboard, which is going to be key, I think, this fall. So, Owen, take it away.
Cool. Joe. All right. So I could screen share. All right. So basically what I'm going to do is, can everyone hear me? All right. Awesome. So I'm going to, I actually gave 11 minutes of a talk once on mute. And it was like the worst feeling that's ever happened. It like hurt my heart. So I'm going to show messaging, which is really simple, self-explanatory. I'm going to go through some Q tips in terms of fall management, and then briefly just show the divisional phone jam feature. So I don't know how much you guys know about the messaging feature, but it's awesome. So obviously there's room for improvement in everything in life. But this is a feature that I have used a ton. You guys could see my queue up on the screen, right? Can you see? Yeah. All right. So obviously it is over here. It's under the messaging tab. And basically, when you go to new message, it automatically includes your managers. You could take your managers off. You could send as a group chat. I never have. The great thing about it is it has a list of each of your reps, every one of your reps, active or inactive. It has your teams, which right now we are not broken into any teams, and it has groups. So let's say I want to send role players, fast start, key staff candidates, right? You could send by group, or right now, since we don't have any teams, everyone is in our default team. I actually have a message that I've pre-typed, and you will notice that message is about to go out to every single person on my team individually, right? So basically we have a weekly form. I use it as a one-way messenger. I don't have reps onto me, but everyone gets a push notification once this goes through. I told everyone on my team that I was doing a conference call and that I was going to be showing the divisional phone jam. So I told them to make some calls to make me look good, right? I said to Joe, I was like, I'm smarter than I look. And I was like, if I'm going to be doing a phone jam, I'm going to use that to drive my business. So I said to everyone, hey, make sure you filled out our form. We have a weekly form that we fill out on Tuesdays where we have our results and goals for the last week. And then ask if they can make some calls. So really, I'm a firm believer that if you are not using Q, you are making a mistake. It isn't that difficult to get on. And for me, our entire rep management runs through Q. Right. I'm a big fan of the messaging aspect of it. We use GroupMe. I know some people use WhatsApp, but if you do not believe that 90, maybe 80% of your team has that muted, has notifications off, you are very naive, right? The reality is the vast majority of your team is not getting notifications. So being able to once a day send something that my entire team is going to get, everyone is going to get it. Every active rep on my team is going to get it, is something that's super valuable to us. So real quick, a couple tips that I have for you for using Q for management in the fall. We've been on Q for over a year now, a little over a year. We started at the beginning of the summer 2019. And I would say that one of the most underrated features is the call tracker in the manager app. So I would say that we've had huge summers. And one of our biggest drop-offs was in the fall because one of the things that I've always been very good at as a manager is driving in-office phone jams. And in the summer, it's a little more difficult, especially obviously now you're not driving in-office phone jams. We're doing all our phone jams on Zoom. But because we weren't doing as many in-office phone jams, our activity went down. And on the home screen, if you go to view phoning history, you can see per day, or you could set a date range, and you could see the calls that people are making, which one, it allows you to have different contests, right? So you could do raffles where, let's say between your team meetings, any rep that makes 10 calls in a day can get an entry into a raffle for 25, 50, whatever dollars. And you could post screenshots on a daily basis of your leaders from your office and use that to drive activity, right? Obviously the call tracker, the phone jam tracker is great because it allows your AMs to run more phone jams and have goals, right? And accountability so that they could see stats. I would say a lot of the times when I wasn't there before we had Q4 our phone jams weren't real phone jams, right? It was get together and talk and make a couple quick calls. But to me, this drives accountability and allows them to see metrics that drive the business. And in terms of metrics, I love that I can use this for key result areas, right? So my staff knows that every day we're going to book at least 10 demos, right? Every day we're going to have at least 10 new business demos. And through the phoning tracker, right, the call tracker, and through our daily demo tracker, we know how many we have, and we're on top of our business, right? One of the features that I'm excited about really working into our rep management this fall is, and this is actually something that I didn't really plan on doing that much, but is really making sure at our team meeting, I was thinking about this earlier today, is making sure that everyone who, especially as a student, uses their daily demo goals so we know what days people plan on working and what days they don't plan on working. And the days that they have 0, we're just not going to PDI them. And the days that they have demos as a goal, those are the days that we PDI reps, right? So that's one of our main, one of the things that I'm excited about is that way, we could do more regular PDI and not feel like we're necessarily bothering people because we know which days people plan on working and which days they don't, right? So obviously I love Q. I'm sure pretty much all of you do. One of the features that I asked Joe for a few times because in our division, we only have a few offices. We're a brand new division, but we do a lot of things together. We do trainings together. We do a lot of our meetings together. We like to leverage each other. And one of the things that we had been doing for a while is on Zoom, you can have multiple people share, right? And then the people can pick which screen they want to see. It was always just an absolute cluster. So if you look at my screen over here, if I check division mode, you'll notice that it's adding reps that aren't from my office into our phone jam that are from offices outside of our division. And you'll notice that when I click team mode on, this is Frederick, by the way, he just wants to say hi. So you'll notice when I click team mode on that it's going to show you my office's totals, right? And then it's going to show you the Middlesex office totals, and the background will be color coded to whichever office they're in, which means that we can share just one screen. And Lily has this also, who's the Middlesex manager, which is exciting, right? It's driving competition, not only through the reps in our office, but it's driving office excitement, right? Like it's creating more competition we talk shit to each other, right? Like that's what you got to do during phone jams. You got to talk some smack. And one of the things that I would say is it also allows us to leverage managers outside of our office to run more phone jams and actually know if people are doing stuff, and for us to leverage each other and still include each other's teams and drive that competition and that camaraderie. So I love the messaging feature. I love the division phone jam feature. I love the goal feature and all of those things. And to me, this is why we had our best fall ever and then our best spring ever. We just fell a little short of an $800,000 summer. 720, 750 was new, and every one of our reps used Q this entire summer. So that is what I have for you guys. I hope that added some value. So back to you, Joe.
Awesome. Really appreciate that, Owen. And two things to highlight there. I think the divisional leaderboard that Owen just screen shared there, I think is going to be especially big during the fall when offices are smaller and it's a little bit harder to create some evidence. So I think that'll be a great tool for the fall. And that's based on your vector office number that you've confirmed with us. So if you click division mode and you're not seeing offices in your division or something seems off there, just email q.app.team@gmail.com with your correct Olean office number, and we'll get that fixed for you. But it should be right for most people. Awesome. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the analytics dashboard that comes with Silver Cup Edition. And for this, I'm going to bring on Jake Cronin, who I think many of you guys haven't met yet, but he's been one of the Q co-founders. He's written a lot of the code for Q, and he was a top sales rep and top branch manager back when he was in college in 2016, 2017, out of the Midwest region. He's been an absolute joy to work with, and he works very hard to make sure that I don't miss anything, and we're always coming up with great new ideas for you guys. And this has been the product of his labor, as well as another one of the members of our team, his brother, Chris, who I think have done a fantastic job with this. So without further ado, Jake, take it away.
Thanks, Joe. You've got me feeling all warm and fuzzy. I've got about 10 minutes here. I know we're a little behind, so I'm going to move pretty quickly through this, but make sure it's useful. Hey, everyone. I'm Jake. To the point of this call, while I go over this analytics dashboard, which comes with the Q Silver Cup Edition, there's a lot of information here, but the real goal of it is just to make you comfortable with the numbers so that you can play with it on your own. Because frankly, we don't know all the best ways to use this data. Q gives you, we collect all this data Vector never had access to before. And we are just, scratching the tip of the iceberg on ways to leverage this to drive results. So this is an attempt of us saying, you know what, let's just start getting some of this data in front of y'all so you guys can figure out the best ways to use this for yourselves. So I'll start from the national leaderboard, do a quick overview of this, and then I'll give an overview of page 3, and then I'll dive into one use case that we've come up with on the Phone Jam report. So there's 3 dashboards here. Looking at the national leaderboard, this all starts off when you choose your division. So you can see all the divisions in aggregate, which right now, but if you want to choose just one, let's say, Greater Georgia, I'll select only Georgia. Oops. Good. There we go. And now it filters down to just data in the Georgia division. Just on the left side, we've got a couple snapshot numbers and a chart. And on the right side, we have 2 tables. There's a list of offices and a list of reps. And these are fairly self-explanatory, starting with the left side. This is how many reps made phone calls in the specified time period. This is how many, you can see how many calls and demos were scheduled for any given day. So if you're trying to talk about records or week-over-week performance, you can just scroll over certain dates and see how many calls were made and how many appointments were scheduled. Looking at these charts on the right, these are pretty powerful. So each chart has its own independent date select. What that means is here, if I want to look at my office, each of my offices within my division for a given date, let's say I just want to do this past week. I can go up here and I can say, let's do the last 7 days. I'll apply this filter, and then my offices will now filter based on the last 7 days. So I can see each of the performance, and you can then, by clicking on a column header, sort to see, you know, for example, who has the most reps active in the past week. And then here will be Northeast Atlanta. So that's just scratching the surface with some what you can do with some of these tables in the national leaderboard. Scrolling down, I'm going to skip Phone Jam report for a second because I want to go into a little more detail on this piece. But looking at additional data, this is just 2 charts that were brought up by special request from some managers. So we threw them in. Just 2 very simple charts. The first one just shows upcoming appointments. So this is on what day are people scheduling appointments, what percentage of them are scheduled for next day versus how many people are scheduling for sort of far in the future. And how you use this, again, you can select your division. You can also select a specific office within that division and then choose a date range as well if you're interested. Rep leaderboard, similar. It's just a really simple way to see who is driving the most output, who's putting the most work making phone calls, who's scheduling the most demos. You can even catch those scenarios. Maybe there's someone who's like logging a lot of phone calls but not logging many demos. Maybe you have to have a conversation about how they're, you know, how well they're executing their phone calls. This is the additional data tab. Now the Office Phone Jam report, I'm going to go into a little more detail here. I'll stop real quick. If you have any questions as I'm going, if I'm sort of skimming over something too quickly, my head's been sort of immersed in these tables for a while now. So I don't really know exactly what's going to be unfamiliar to other people. So post a question in the chat and I'll get to it. So as the Phone Jam report here, we have a 1, 2, 3 instruction on the left. First, you choose a division. For this, I'll choose Greater Georgia. Then you choose a Phone Jam date. You know, right now it's set on the 31st. Let's say I want to set it on the 30th. Click those 2 dates, click apply. And now let me explain what you're looking at. You have this top right section, which is Jam stats, and then this table in the bottom. So what Jam stats show you is for whatever you're currently looking at, this is, you know, 4 big KPIs to look at. You've got your calls made, booked, reps, phoning, and jam duration, and you can compare it against the average office. Now notice these numbers are all really big. That's because we didn't actually select an office yet. So we're looking at the division as a whole. But if we want to jump into a specific office within this, let's say we want to look at Jacksonville's phoning on the 30th, here we can see it and how they compare against the average division. So okay, they made 8 calls during that day, and the average office was 22. They had only 3 reps phoning, which is on par with the average. But I think the real power comes in this table here. So this is helpful particularly for the division managers who are trying to coach across their offices within their division. The 3 big pieces to look at are this recruiting, motivation, and training tabs. So one use case that we came up with is, okay, let's just say you had a phone call yesterday and you're trying to debrief with offices how things went. Well, as of today, what you can do is you can, you know, ask someone how many phone calls they were making, how many reps that showed up, how many demos did they book, and trying to get them to screenshot your queue, which is helpful. But a slightly easier workflow that we came up with is this dashboard where, given a certain day, you can now look at your, let's just filter by booked. And that's our main metric we're going to look at. Okay, Northeast Atlanta was crushing it with 25 booked. And we go down, okay, there's one office that didn't actually get any booked, and then we could see everyone in the middle. But you want to go one step further and get into the diagnostic phase. So what actually was driving performance? And that's when we look at these 3 metrics on the left, on the right, sorry. So recruiting, this shows, okay, how many reps are actually active phoning. If someone's not doing well in this metric, that probably means that they need to put more energy into recruiting. Calls per rep, however, obviously means how many calls is each rep making. So potentially someone is doing not the best with recruiting. For example, we've got the Warner Robins office only had 2 reps that day, but they're banging out 21 phone calls per rep. So, okay, so what's this manager doing that's motivating the reps so hard? You can ask them for a learning there. On the flip side, you can talk to another manager who maybe wasn't getting that same motivation and figure out what they could do to improve that. And then finally, getting on the final metric here is training. depending, if someone might be crushing recruiting, crushing motivation, the reps are really working, but maybe they're not actually landing as many demos as they could. One example might be this guy right here. So this office has the least calls per booked, which means they're absolutely crushing it. For almost every single call they're making, they're scheduling a demo. That's a manager you want to talk to and figure out how are they doing? Are they having the best qualified leads, doing the best on the phone? Alternatively, you can figure out, okay, who's not scheduling as many, who's taking more calls to book a demo. And here we have an example. Looks like we look at Warner Bros. They're having less output per demo on this given day. So then you have a conversation about, okay, how do you better qualify your leads? How do you get off the chicken list onto referrals, et cetera? So I'll end it with that. That's sort of one use case of using the Phone Jam report, is looking at these 3 metrics to come up with coaching conversations after a phone jam. But again, these dashboards give you a wealth of information, and we will be continuing to update them as you guys request to show different types of data. For example, I see a reached column might be helpful to add into our dashboard as well, so we can do that. If there's no other questions, then I'll leave it at that. And I hope you guys really appreciate this. Christopher, my younger brother, put a lot of work into putting this together, so I hope it's really drives some results. Joe, back to you.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Jake. And one thing I want to emphasize that that Jake pointed out is, most of the tools that we've created so far are for giving you information about how reps in your office are doing and helping you create competition and incentives between your reps. What the dashboard does that no other part of Q is able to tell you is it tells you how your office as a whole is doing compared to other offices. How am I doing in driving the number of phone calls people are making? How am I doing in making sure that people are booking demos when they make calls? How am I doing week over week in terms of the demos that we're booking? Are we booking more demos? Are we recruiting more reps? And getting competitive with other managers, which is something that I know I loved as a pilot in 2018 when I was a pilot. So that is the analytics dashboard, the second piece of the Silver Cup edition. Next, I'm going to introduce rep demo checkouts. This is going to be with Jakub, who's a district manager in the Chicago division. He did $380,000 for the summer. He's a 10K fast starter, 20K SE2 push rep. He was 4th in the country his first branch and 3rd in the country in his second branch. And they did 100K for SE2 this summer. And Jakub's been great about working with us on making sure that this is something that is going to work in your offices. And one thing I want you guys to pay close attention to is how he talks about setting up his reps to use it, because this is one thing where you really do have to drive usage in order to get the most value out of it. Your reps have to actually be doing the checkouts for it to be useful. And this, along with the messaging, is something that my younger brother, Ryan Jordan, has put a ton of work into. We poured his heart and soul into this over this summer for you guys. So I think you did a great job. And with that, Jakub, you can take it away.
Sweet. All right, guys. So I'm really fired up about this Silver Cup edition and more specifically this demo checkout stuff. I mean, let me ask you guys some questions. Did you ever have a situation where you had a bunch of demos booked, you see them all on queue, you're just like, did they actually do the demo, or was a demo rescheduled, or was it a callback? Was it a no-show? Like, what is going on when our reps aren't calling us? Yes, of course we want to call them, but like, what is going on? We've got to find out what's going on. I always was curious about like, what's the best way to find the closing percentage of a rep instead of asking them? Because if you ask a rep on a PC, they're just like, oh yeah, I think I saw in like 7 out of 10 of my demos. But then you look at the data with this demo checkout feature, and obviously you'll be able to see exactly what their demo closing percentage is. So then you'll be able to focus your PCs, focus your time, and be more efficient with everything that you do. So really, really, really fired up about this feature. You can check how many recs they're getting. Do they get a lot of recs on one demo? Do they get 0 recs on a lot of their demos? And that's the purpose of this feature. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and talk to you guys a little bit about the demo checkout stuff. So let's go over here, present. So basically what this will entail, after each appointment, they're going to open up their queue and they're going to get an immediate pop-up to check out and log the outcome of the demo. So they could put sale, no sale, rescheduled, canceled, thinking about it. And you'll be able, just like what you guys see on that little GIF right there, they put a CPO estimate. Like, it doesn't have to be an identical CPO, like it could be, usually is, but just like have them throw in the CPO estimate really quick. If it was a no sale, they'd put 0, and then also the amount of recommendations. But you get insight on your office, you get insight on your rep, you know where to focus your time, you know where to focus your energy, you know where to focus a talk on the Wednesday team meeting, you know who to recognize, you know who you want to speak at the next team meeting instead of you speaking all the time. And you give your reps a chance to show themselves like who they are, and then that person is going to be a good field trainer for the rest of the office. So that's what we've been really using. I'd say Q and this feature has been one of the biggest reasons why we're at where we're at for the summer. But I know we've got some development in progress with this feature too. So like one thing that we're planning on implementing is like 90 minutes after a demo, they'll get a push notification on their phone. Hey, how'd your demo go? And that's going to remind them to like log it. It'll be, we're still thinking about it, but yeah, this is going to be huge. I absolutely love this feature. Here's an example of just like what my Q slides look like with all the data. So I could see visually, okay, Mag had a canceled demo here. Mag had just one demo, but I could see Marlon, she just launched from training. Canceled demo, no sale, canceled demo, canceled demo. Okay, I've got to talk to Marlon. Lindley, sale, okay, I want reverse field training with her, sale, okay, sale, oh, she field trade Jaden, awesome. And I could see exactly what's going on. Jaden, reschedule demo. Where else is Jaden? Jaden's right here, sale, 99. Jaden, sale, she didn't mark the CPO, but then you can also see recs. How many recs are they getting? What are they averaging? You'll have concrete data so that you know where to focus your time and energy, and it's not a guessing game, because virtually it's a much harder to manage a rep. And with this feature, it's going to make a huge difference. But I know with the Silver Cup edition, one of the biggest things to know is that like if a team or if a manager isn't on the Silver Cup edition, it's got to be talked about in training, but there's also got to be just a disclaimer where it's like, okay, if an office isn't on the Silver Cup edition, like they won't be getting these demo checkouts. But that's just got to be clear with if you're doing divisional training or if you're running training on your own. But that's pretty much the gist of it. Pretty self-explanatory, but it's been a huge game changer for our office. And I'm really excited to see where we take Q further and further in the company and really drive business the right way versus driving a busyness, which has been a big theme in my life this summer. So thanks, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jacob. I think that was great. I loved being able to see that fully filled out demo screen. I don't think I've seen one of those yet, so that was really cool. And yes, as they enter in that information in the pop-ups, that will populate that page on the website in real time. So those are the major features in the Silver Cup update. There's one other thing for DVMs, which is office switching. If you're a DVM and you're more curious about that, basically it allows you to switch into any office in your division and be able to view it like the district manager would. So you don't have to ask people for screenshots of stuff. You can just see how your office is doing yourself. The last thing I want to talk about now is, all right, awesome, how do I upgrade? So actually, I'll just continue sharing from there. So you want to go on the website to, there's a, I'll just show that actually. All right, so you guys can see my analytics dashboard here. So If you're on the website, just hit that hamburger menu up top. This is actually where you can activate the rep demo checkouts, set the time you want it for. There's an in-depth explanation here. And this is also where you can access the analytics dashboard that Jake explained. But to upgrade, you're going to want to go to billing. Now, since the office I'm in already has Silver Cup, it doesn't have the option to upgrade there, but you go to billing. And what you'll see is this page here. So along with the Silver Cup, we're also offering a summer end sale for the basic edition. It's typically been $69 a month or $59 a month, depending on which plan you have. We've got a brand new annual plan that's $49 a month. We'll save you $240 a year. And then with the annual, you have the option to go, with the Silver Cup, you have the option to go annual or by the month. Obviously, we recommend going with the annual. It's paid for in 2 to 3 extra average orders a month. If you're, if you're a district or a DBM, in even less. And those are billed annually. So you build once at the beginning of the year, and then you're all set for the year. So if you haven't upgraded already, switch to either taking advantage of these new plans. Go to billing on Q Sales Team and select the plan that makes the most sense for you. Again, I think Silver Cup has some awesome features, and it's not that much more expensive than the basic with the annual plan. So that about wraps up the introduction here. What questions do you guys have? If you have a question, you can just throw it in the chat, and we'll try and get that answered for you. And as I'm answering these questions, if anyone else, a manager who's used a feature that's relevant to the question or anything like that, want to jump in, thinks they have some insight, feel free. But yeah, what questions do you have? Yeah, Joel, go ahead. You wanna ask your question?
Yeah, so I guess I really want to focus this towards Jacob, since you've really been using this feature, or anyone else that has been using this. So as far as like logging how the presentations went and then like looking at the overview, is that how you do your presentation reports when you log them in for base pay, or do you also have a different method on top of that?
Yeah, good question. So it's been a little bit of a process to get it to have a full day checked out. Sometimes a rep won't check in like they won't open up their Q app until like the next day, and like the data won't be exactly accurate. So one of the biggest things I'm focusing on is really setting the standards and expectations at a team meeting, at a phone jam, at a champs club, to remind people like, hey, after your demo, make sure you log it. So this is kind of like my secondary way of demos. I personally use a progress report that I've made on Google Forms, where they log all of their demos and then give me the customer's phone number, information, if it was a sale, if they're Mac. And then if I could tell they're seeing a lot of like non-Macs, et cetera, I'll make sure I call those customers, or if they went 0 for 10 and they didn't put the customer's information, like I'll know to call them and ask them to put the customer's info, and then I'll be able to find if they're lying or not. But yeah, the plan is to get it to that point where this is like the progress report and the weekly base pay sheet.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's a great question. And I think one way to actually encourage use of the demo checkouts would be to make that the source of truth for your base pay reports. So if you're committed to using it in your office, there's no reason you can't make that the base pay report. And that'll actually help people use it more regularly. If they know that in order to get paid, they have to fill it out, and you emphasize that from training. Again, with the slide that Jacob just pulled up, which is in the Manager Resources tab, which I'll share after the Q&A, I think you'll actually find that the usage is more regular.
Okay, cool. Because I was wondering then also if you can quick answer this. If you break it down like on the weekly scale, if we were to use that for presentations for our reports, can you break it down on a weekly scale and then organize it by name so they're all together so you could count how many demos they completed?
Yeah, so the what you can do is, and let me share my screen really quickly here. So what you can do if you move to the demos tab, let me widen the range. So you can use a date range and set it to this current week. This is a test office, so there really aren't a ton of demos in here. But what you can do is you can filter by rep here. So you can choose just one rep and just look at the demos that rep has for that date range. And you can see all the outcomes right here, total CPO, Rex, and all that stuff there.
Perfect. That answers my question. Thank you, Joe and Jacob.
My pleasure. For base pay, can a rep retroactively add a demo and input the information they forgot to enter the demo in queue? So the answer is yes. So let me see if I can show what that looks like here. So on the Q mobile app, one thing you can do, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of this, but if I want to go to Brevin Fleischer, for example, here, I can add a demo from the past. So it's designed so you can't put it like arbitrarily far back in the past. But if someone catches it, they can go into the past and enter a demo here. Save and continue, and then the next time they log in, they'll be asked to check out of it from the app.
I've got a question. Y'all can hear me, Joe?
Yep.
So this is, I don't know if this is a philosophy question, but the level of control that this adds is obviously unparalleled to anything that we've ever had before. And I have I guess it's a limiting belief that representatives might have a fear of failing because like they know that it's like really, really tight from the manager, or at least the capacity. So I guess I was wondering, does anybody have any like philosophies on like, if they're kind of seeing a lot of these no sales happen and like really catching them one-on-one, if that can have like any sort of like diminishing returns if we're way too tight on a high school seniors, result in their first weekend, or is it kind of like we need to kind of use this information, kind of great power, great responsibility kind of moment that we're having right now. So I don't know if any of the district managers that have had some experience with this have any sort of opinion on it, but I'm just trying to walk myself through, seeing what you just showed me and like when to catch it, when not to catch it. So I don't know if this conversation is for this call, but this is definitely something that's going through my mind as, not just myself, but if I have a branch manager that has this information, I don't want them to chew off a representative's head who's having bad results when it just could be the fact that, hey, we're doing virtual demos. There's added challenges to the job now that have never happened before. And we need to kind of maybe have a little bit of like a encouragement mindset versus like a control. Thank you, Alex. Catch them doing more things right than wrong. So I don't know if maybe I'm answering my own question, but I mean, this is kind of something I'm working myself through since we do have so much more information than we've ever had before.
Yeah.
I got some input.
Go ahead, Jacob.
So one thing that I've implemented recently that has been really helpful in terms of that, if I have a rep that's gone like 0 for 5, what I talk about like immediately is just like, we've got a demo pause program and it's for you to get better. So if they've gone 0 for 3 or 0 for 5, I have them pause, stop doing demos until they've gone on 5 field trainings with one of my top 10 reps. And then they talk about that after. I'm sure Owen has something to add on to that, but we've basically a support system and a program. So it's not like, oh, this is bad. It's like, oh, if this happens, just do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mind if I add real quick?
Please.
So we have a rule in my office where if you go 3 no sales in a row, you need to audio record until you hit your next demo. or hit your next promotion. So to get base pay, to stay on base pay, you need to audio record and upload it until you hit your next promotion. If you go over 3, which if you're at 10K, that's going to be a lot more recording than if you're at 0, right? Like, so it's just, hey, we want to help you out, right? A lot of the times it's little things that are going to make you better, but one of the things that is going to make you the best, right, that's going to help you grow the most is you being able to hear yourself and us being able to hear the little things that you could do better. So obviously we want you to let your customers know, you know, and just let them know, hey, I'm new, and for part of my training, my manager just wants me to record a couple demos so that they can give me some feedback. Just audio record it, upload it, and next AM hour, they know who they're listening to, listen to it, and take some notes. They just listen to parts of it, you know, the beginning and the close, rec approach, whatever they need help with, and then call the rep and give them feedback. And that's been a huge catalyst for.
What's the audio record process? How do you do that, and where are we uploading to?
So I have a website for my office, but I have them upload to a Google Drive folder, and that's shared with my whole staff. And then the audio record process is, if they're on Zoom, they record on their phone. If they're just doing it over the phone, they record on their computer.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and we try to think about this. Thank you for those answers, by the way, Owen and Jacob. We thought about this a lot as we were building this feature. It's going to give an unprecedented amount of information to managers. And ultimately, the conclusion that we came to is having access to this type of manager. If you're already like not a great manager who's going to rail your reps for having no sales, or coach them improperly through their first weekend as they're calling in and telling you the outcomes of their sales in the first place, like, this information isn't going to make you a great manager. But if you're already a good manager or a great manager, all this does is give you more information that can help you do more of the good coaching that you already do, if that makes sense.
Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. What I think about with is that I don't see it as a too much, I guess, power sort of thing, but instead, what I see it as is, let's say you're doing like your fall planning or your spring planning or your summer planning. It might be something where you could use it as information to prevent like certain like low falls in your business for the next upcoming season or next upcoming campaign. Is what I primarily think about.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. Absolutely. Data-driven decisions. Thank you. Yeah.
Question, Joseph. I'm going to keep asking questions because I got your time here. Is there any thought to creating timed text messages, timed messages that can go out at all? Is that a feature that's at all?
So scheduling message blasts.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something we really haven't thought much about. But it's certainly something we can put on the list. So the use case for that would be scheduling like a text message, you know, the morning of team meetings, for example, to send a reminder for your context, that sort of thing. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's something we currently have, but it's something that we could work on next, for sure. So real quick, we're coming towards an end here. So before we wrap up, I'll stay on in case anyone has any more questions, but before everyone jumps off, there is one more thing that I want to show here, which is the Manager Resources tab here on the website. So there is a shared Google Drive folder here with a bunch of materials that managers have created for introducing Q, training notes, PowerPoints, things like that. So if you have created or are looking for documents on how do I implement Q in training, how do I explain Q at a team meeting, this is where to find it. And if you've created some stuff like that, like Jakub has said, please, help other managers out by just dropping it right in there. So again, it's manager resources from this drop down here. You can see notes for 2 and 3 day training, and the drive is just at this link right here. But I can keep taking questions.
Yeah, Joe, I know you and I talked about it, but with this new feature and the upgraded feature, are we able to, kind of separate with PR calling if we want to use Q for this without like having a separate account?
Yeah, so there's no separate PR calling yet. You can create a separate office for PR calling or put your PR callers sort of in a separate team or group so that they're separated when during phone jams. That's another thing we sort of have on our list, but I'm not sure where exactly it's going to be on that list.
Cool. And by the way, I'm clicking the link to upgrade right now, and you're about to take more of my money, so I appreciate you.
We appreciate the support, Mike. Glad to hear it.
And you know what? In the same spirit, I just want to jump in and say, one, the Facebook group is a resource for everyone to be sharing best practices. Just like we have that Google Drive. If you have a question, you can throw it in that group chat or that Facebook group, and either our team will try and answer, or just another manager who has a better answer than us will answer. So that's one point. A second point, to help us figure out what to build next, we're going to be dropping a survey, a quick Google survey in the Facebook group shortly. If you guys could complete that, that would be super helpful for us to, one, prioritize what's useful to build next. But two, we're also thinking about the possibility of getting Vector Connect access, which in order to do that, we need to first prove to Vector that it's worth them giving us access. So support from y'all would be really helpful for us on that front as well.
Dude, you guys got to get Vector Live access and sync it with the Team Builder app, so that way our PR talk could be synced with Q. So everyone they put as customer goes to Q, and everyone they put as friend goes to PRs, and that's our PR talk. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, we by the way, we agree with you. Absolutely. So, but yeah, definitely let us know in the survey. That's
appreciate you guys.
Some of our leverage there.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you.
Sure.
So all the AMs that we give manager access to with the Silver Cup edition, could they like accidentally send a group message? Because I would hate for somebody to accidentally send a message to the team.
For an assistant manager?
Yeah. Is that
so assistant managers will have the same access that the district manager has.
It's not a feature someone's accidentally going to do. They literally need to go to it and then click on the groups and then type a message and then press send. Like, if someone accidentally does that, they shouldn't be an assistant manager. Like,
that might be a fair point, yeah.
Awesome. And then, Joe, are we able to have like a micro division? So like I run training for a couple different offices, but I'm not technically a division manager. Are we able to like have me as like a division manager in Q, and then have the offices that I run training with like highlighted in like what Owen's Q looked like?
So right now that's not really supported. But if you email us, I can tell you how to hack around it. And get that sort of set up. Yeah, like
awesome.
Yeah. q.app.team@gmail.com, by the way. For anyone who doesn't know, that's how you get in touch with us.
And if you didn't hear that whole email that Joe just said, you can also, if you click the hamburger menu in the top right, there's a contact us button, which brings it to our email. Thanks, RJ.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Going once, going twice. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on the call, and really thanks for your continued support, guys. Like I said, this has been pretty overwhelming. I never in my wildest dreams imagined that that Q would be this successful and this important and this valuable to people this summer. So seriously, thank you guys. And we're going to keep working to get you guys value.
See you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Joe. See ya.
My pleasure.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good evening.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Not sure if you saw my message. I was wondering, so in WebPDI, we pay per text. Q, is it just unlimited with the Silver Cup price?
Yep, unlimited with Silver Cup.
Awesome. All right, thanks, man.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Hey, Joe, did you want us to fill out a survey? I heard that at some point, but I didn't know where the link was.
Yeah, we'll be dropping that in the manager Facebook group shortly. We don't have that link ready for you guys yet.
Although the survey will come out soon, but we are always open to feedback. If you want to Facebook message us, email us, anything at any time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Take care, Kaval. All right, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording there and end the meeting. Thanks again.